So for those of you who implemented the game plan that I gave you on Thursday to trade Friday, you should have had a phenomenal green day on Friday, closing out the week very, very strong on a high note. I made it very, very clear that if the SPY gaps up, is likely going to be a gap and go and keep on spiking at first. And then I made it very clear that the best level to buy put options to go short on the market is once SPY closes the gap. If you see a red bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmation at that 583 gap reversal level, you're going to want to be buying put options. As soon as SPY formed the first red bearish 30-minute candlestick at that overall gap level, it did end up selling off. With that being said, inside of Team Roar, G-Roar absolutely crushed it on the market open trade, making multiple 100% profit returns on Tesla call options, getting in at 9:45 a.m. I absolutely crushed it with the game plan. I made it very, very clear that I was interested in buying Apple call options. I did end up buying those Apple call options, and they did end up quickly spiking over 60%. And then I had another phenomenal win, going 2 for 2 in terms of the overall morning to midday session. 2 wins in a row, another win on SPY. I'll be breaking it down towards the end of this video. And in terms of that game plan that I gave you for Friday, I did happen to mention GameStop. I mentioned GME, and I told you if you're seeing 30-minute green bullish candlestick confirmations at that previous closing price towards that 2050 level, you're going to want to be buying 21 call options because GME is due for a spike and they're likely going to go in the money due to the doji daily chart pattern that I had shared with you. With that being said, if you did end up buying those GME 21 strike calls at 5 cents a share, they were sitting at just 5 cents a contract, right? Literally just 5 cents a contract within the first hour of the market open. 2 green bullish 30-minute candlestick confirmations. And surely enough, after those confirmations at the previous closing price, GME ended up spiking above $21, bringing those calls out of the money. Just a 50-cent spike, a 1,000% gainer. They went from 5 cents to 50 cents a contract. So for those of you who took action on those game plans, you should have had a phenomenal green day. Now, in terms of the new game plan, this is going to be absolutely phenomenal. We are setting up for a very lucrative, highly predictable trading opportunity. And the focus is going to be calls at the oversold levels and puts at the overbought levels. Let's break it down. So in terms of the foundation that I'm going to be going with, it's going to be the daily chart patterns. We're going to start off with this one simple pattern. You have a red bearish candlestick facing to the upside, and then you have a red bearish candlestick facing to the downside. The next day, if SPY gaps up, which it is currently having a nice gap up during the extended trading hour session, as you can see, it ended up having a very nice gap and go. So it had a very strong gap up in terms of, the overall range. The SPY did end up bottoming towards the previous day highs, and it had a very nice move to the upside, and then it dropped some point throughout the day, right? So in terms of the first overall pattern that I'm seeing, if we do gap up, there's going to be opportunities for calls and opportunities for puts. I'm going to be breaking down the measured move to you in just a moment, but I wanted to point out this pattern as well. So in terms of this pattern that I'm seeing, take a look at this. Green, red, green, and then you have 4 green daily candlesticks slanted right to the upside. Then you have a red candle, green candle, red candle, green candle, red candle, green candle, red candle facing to the upside, red candle facing to the downside. The next day, SPY ends up bottoming slightly under the previous closing price, having a very strong bullish day, closing towards the previous day highs. Now, if you look at this pattern, it's nearly identical. You have a green candle right here, red candle right here, green candle right here, and then you have 4 green candles in a row here slanted to the right side. Then you have the red candle, then you have the red candle, then you have the green candle, then you have the green candle, right? Then you have the red candle, the green candle, the red candle, the green candle, the red candle facing to the upside, and then you got the red candle facing to the downside. So a very similar pattern in a sense, right? So in terms of what I'm going to be looking at, it's going to be the following. And in terms of this overall trend recognition, I showed you the daily chart pattern, and I showed you some opportunities that I'm coming up with in terms of measuring the overall move. This also has to do with the 10-day, 30-minute chart. So in terms of how the chart is setting up, to me, this looks a very similar repeat to October 17th. If you look at October 17th and then you look at October 18th and you compare what's happening right now, is very similar. So these are going to be the game plans, man. The game plans is going to be to buy call options at the lower levels. So in terms of the overall lower levels, you can see we're gapping up right now. SPY ended up closing at 579.04. Right now we're at 582. right? So there was one situation where the SPY had a gap up and it ended up bottoming at the previous day highs. So with that being said, I'm not too interested in that overall plan in a sense. These are going to be the levels that I'm going to be focused on, right? So you can see right here, SPY is trending up slanted to the right side, right? SPY is trending up slanted to the right side, right? And then it kind of looks like you have this like middle finger pattern forming, and then you have this like middle finger, pattern forming, right? This day here looks nearly identical to this day here. And then you can see the next day, SPY ends up gapping up, has a drop back down towards that previous closing price, and then it ends up having a very nice spike and then dropping into the close, right? So very similar patterns. So your best level to buy call options heading into tomorrow is going to be the previous closing price. Previous closing price is at 579.04. That's going to be your best level for the gap reversal. There's going to be a gap that is waiting to fill below at 579.04. I told you within the videos, make sure you're using the gap reversal strategy. You should have all been in on put options. I told you the trend. If you look throughout the past 20-day, 30-minute chart, the SPY has been nothing but reversing at these gaps. You can see right here, there's a gap to fill at 583.55, right? It starts breaking above the gap, no reversal, no crash until it forms the red bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmation. Next candlestick is bearish. And then there's a gap to fill right here at 584.50, red bearish 30-minute candlestick, and then the next hour is bearish, right? And then I told you, man, there was a gap to fill at 583.30, the best level for puts. Well, it's breaking out. Green bullish 30-minute confirmation, green bullish 30-minute confirmation. You have a double top here for an hour with a red bearish 30-minute confirmation, right? And if you studied how SPY has been reacting when it forms this red bearish 30-minute confirmation, red bearish 30-minute confirmation towards a gap, red bearish 30-minute confirmation, it tends to drop, it tends to drop, it tends to drop, right? It tends to drop. Look at this. You had a gap up right here with the red bearish 30-minute confirmation. Same candle right here at a higher level. You should have all been in on puts at 11 a.m. If you did not buy puts at 11 a.m., you did not follow the game plan and you're a true degenerate. That was the easiest setup of the overall week. SPY has been doing nothing but reversing at the gaps. Losing is a personal choice. Red is a personal choice. Now, with that being said, you need to be buying call options at the previous closing price. 579.04. When we drop back down to 579.04, the SPY is going to start to have a reversal. It could potentially go a little bit lower, but I would consider this level an auto buy level where I would just get in a sense, because it's just been reversing so many fucking times at the gap throughout the past 20 days. The win rate has been fucking 100%. Every single gap has been reversing in the past 20 days. Roll with the trend until it no longer works. Take advantage of the overall trends. Just get in, take starters. Once you get a strong confirmation, then you can add to size, right? Or you can just wait for the confirmation and miss out on the potential trade, or potentially miss out on getting the overall best price. Now, with that being said, in terms of a slightly lower level to be buying call options, it's going to be towards this 578.20 to 578.50. So the zone is going to be 579.04, 578.20, 578.50. At that zone, green bullish or trend reversal bullish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, buy call options. Now, in terms of the higher levels, there was a situation where if the SPY did end up opening up above the previous day highs, that was the bottom. So if we are, this only goes if we're opening up above the previous day highs, and I personally do not like this idea. But if we are opening up towards this like 584 and you see a confirmation, you could attempt a quick scalp on calls, but I would not encourage it, man. In terms of that overall plan, I would sway away from it. But just be aware, if we do gap up above the previous day highs, it could potentially just keep on running and then crash towards 586 to 587, which would be the put level. If we are gapping up above 584, the put level is going to be 586 to 587, major resistance, all-time high area, right? Now, if we're not gapping up above the new all-time highs, the absolute highest level I would truly consider is like this previous resistance. This previous resistance right here at 580.50, right? The SPY ended up dropping at this 580.50 level, and then it just gapped up above it. So when it drops back down, it could turn that previous resistance into support and bounce first to have that overall gap and go. So my main higher level for calls is going to be that like 580.50 to 581 overall zone. And then if you measure the move, if it reacts bearish, we go to 578.50, reversal. If it reacts bullish, we go to 584. Above 584, next level, 586, 587 for puts. Now, one thing I do want to say is this. If the SPY gaps up and we're not gapping up above the previous day highs. So if we're not opening up above 584, I have some small interest in buying put options towards this level. So we have a breakdown and retest level on the 1 day, 1 minute chart. And based off the daily chart patterns, it could potentially drop here as well, especially if we are not opening up above the previous day highs, right? So if we're not opening up above 584, I will have some interest. This will be my lowest level possible to consider buying puts on, but I would encourage you to use a very strong red bearish or trend reversal 30-minute candlestick confirmation at this level. Just be a little bit careful because the overall trend could be bullish tomorrow. But this is going to be the level of consideration for puts. And if you look at the 1 minute chart, we had support here for a couple minutes at 584.10. Once it cracked, it never spiked back up to that previous support. So it had a breakdown at major resistance at a support level and never spiked back to that previous breakdown level. So when it goes back up to that level, it could drop first. Remember, I told you this was going to happen at 581.30 and then the SPY crashed. Remember throughout the past week videos. So it's the same exact strategy. Previous support to react as a resistance, a breakdown and retest. There's a breakdown of support at 584. It's towards major resistance as well, but this is considered support. It cracked support. It did not spike back up. So 584.10 is a level of consideration for put options. Use strong confirmations. That is the game plan, man. So if we're opening up below 584, the levels for calls, 581 is the higher level, the lower level, the best level possible, 578.50 to 579 gap reversal zone, right? If you're trying the higher level and we're opening up below 584, make sure you're using a strong green bullish 30-minute confirmation at the 580.50 to 581 level. That is not a level where I would consider to blindly buy calls. If you want to blindly buy calls, if you're not using a confirmation, you kind of just want to get in at an auto buy level that is a high success rate of working. I told you the SPY has been reversing at the gaps both ways, long and short, calls and puts throughout the past 20 days. So just kind of hop in calls towards this 579 to 578.50, and then if you like, you can use confirmations, you can take starters, you can do whatever you want to do. Just in terms of putting the odds in your favor and trying to get a best entry, is showing that it's going to bounce in reverse when we go to 578.50 to 579. And I'm mainly speaking for tomorrow, right? Obviously, if it's later on throughout the week and it fills the gap, you're going to want to use more of a confirmation. But if it happens right away tomorrow, then you could just kind of get in a sense because it's that overreaction. It's an overreaction strategy where if it goes back down to fill the gap right away, it's likely going to reverse in that situation. And there's been a strong day throughout the past 20-day, 30-minute chart. Like I said, for those of you who know how to capture trends and you're using the strategies that I'm teaching you, you should have been making money nonstop at these gap reversals. Every single gap has been reversing, man. We went over this. Like I said, if you didn't buy puts at this red candle right here, when this closed red and bearish, you didn't buy puts on the opening right here at 11 a.m., you're lost. You should not be trading. I give you the best strategy. I give you the fucking plan. Look yourself in the fucking mirror and tell yourself, dude, losing was a fucking choice on Friday. He gave us the plan. He taught us the strategy. There was a red bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmation. What is so fucking hard about buying put options on the opening of this 30-minute fucking candle? I'm teaching you how to win every single fucking day. Nobody's doing this, man. So I'm giving you the new game plan. Use this fucking plan and make money. There's no fucking excuses. Red is a fucking choice. Losing is a fucking personal choice. When you have a system that works, you be disciplined, you have your third eye open, and you wait. You wait to trade the best setup. That's what you gotta fucking wait for, man. I'm showing you the fucking setups. You gotta be disciplined, and you gotta fucking use confirmations, and you gotta fucking wait. Like I said, there's certain levels where I don't even use a confirmation, but if you're complaining, oh man, I lost at that level, and that was a level where we don't have to use a confirmation. Well, losing is still a fucking choice. You can wait for a confirmation. You don't have to do that. You can take starters at first, right? But like I said, at just certain levels, it does make sense to kind of just get in and take starters. And then when there's a strong confirmation, if you're up a little bit, you can add to the winner. And like I said, man, 579 to 578.50. If we can drop back down there tomorrow, it truly does make sense to just kind of buy calls and then add into a confirmation. If you don't want to risk losing and you're okay with a little FOMO or just getting in at a higher entry or potentially missing on the play, then you could use a confirmation. You could. I'm just saying there's certain levels and certain strategies where it makes sense to kind of just get the fuck in. But with that being said, man, 581, use a strong confirmation. And if we're opening up lower than like 583, then consider puts at 584. If we're opening up higher at above like 584, consider puts at a higher level. 586 to 587. That's the fucking game plan. There's no fucking excuses. Use this plan, use the 30-minute chart, and make your fucking money. It's that simple, man. It's so fucking simple. We do this every single day in the chat. We're going green literally every single day using this simple 30-minute candlestick strategy. Everything it is that I've created with the gap reversals, the 30-minute candlestick chart, capturing the fucking trends. We have our third eye open. We're disciplined, and we capture these trends in real time. I prepare you to trade the trends, but I can't come to your house personally and click the buy and sell button for you. You have to actually participate within the market, wait for the 30-minute candlesticks to close at the levels, wait for the confirmation, and execute the trade. I can't do it for you. You have to pull the fucking trigger. I cannot pull the trigger for you. Now, with that being said, in terms of the game plan, that's the fucking game plan. Now, if you take a look at the trades, we fucking crushed it. You guys are well aware, every single day is my best fucking day. In terms of this game plan, man, this was a 1000% gainer. I almost took action on it, man. I got sidetracked. I was in Apple calls and I was looking at GameStop. And you're not going to believe this, man. The main reason why I actually decided to not take this trade, it was mainly because the contracts were just so fucking cheap. I couldn't fucking believe on how fucking cheap these were. And I just didn't like the volume. But it was mainly me being sidetracked trading Apple. And also I wasn't paying attention to the confirmation. That's what it was. But I just truly couldn't believe on how fucking cheap these contracts were. You know, sometimes if they're just that fucking cheap, you might think that, dude, they're just going to go worthless. This is not even worth it. But it worked out perfectly, man. This fucking play, listen to this plan here. This was a fucking gold mine. GME forms these dojis at key support. It tends to have a very nice spike, But like I said, it is lacking volume. And you can see there's a nice doji right here, has a nice spike. And we just formed the doji right here. So I'm just going to be keeping an eye out, man. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this support at $20.30 to $20.50. If we're reacting bullish on the chart in between that lower oversold range, because I did notice with this particular daily chart pattern, finding an entry could be a little bit difficult. So in that situation, I'm just going to focus on the lower oversold levels if it hits those. So, I'm looking at $20.30. I'm looking at $20.50 for just a potential quick scalp on, GME to potentially $21 a share. Just to $21 a share, man. Like literally those 21 calls, they were like 50, 60 cents out of the money. They went up 1,000% and there was confirmation. I told you the previous closing price, man. That's another thing. If you're not 100% sure when to get in, you got to go with the best levels fucking possible, man. The best levels, the daily chart pattern that was setting up, it was making it a bit difficult to determine on exactly where to enter because multiple things could have happened based off of all these fucking patterns I was looking at. So in that situation, you just go with the oversold level. And if it doesn't hit, you miss out on the fucking play. But man, I made this so clear in the game plan, man. I kept on pointing out every single fucking time we formed this doji at support, the next day it starts to bottom towards the previous closing price and it has a nice spike, starts to bottom towards the previous closing price, has a nice gap up. It just kept on fucking doing it if you look throughout the fucking chart history, man. Anyone knows my history with fucking GameStop, we killed it, man. We fucking called out the fucking gap at $48. That fucking hit perfectly. I called that out first, man. We had other fucking teams stealing my game plan, reading it from fucking word to word. That's how fucking good this shit is. But anyways, man, in terms of the green bullish 30-minute confirmations, there was a green trend reversal 30-minute confirmation right here. There was a green bullish 30-minute confirmation right here. And I talk about this pattern all the time. Green 30-minute candlestick facing to the downside. Green 30-minute candlestick facing to the upside. Very bullish. Double bottom for an hour previous closing price. Next 30 minutes, it spikes from 2060 to 2140. The calls 21 strike were 40 fucking cents out of the money. These calls were only 40 cents out of the money. They went from 5 cents to fucking 50 cents. That's a 1000% return in 30 fucking minutes. This is why trading on Thursday and Fridays are always going to be the best fucking days to be trading stocks, especially on Friday. A lot of the stocks you watch, they're going to have their zero dates expiring. Not all of them. GME had the zero dates expiring on Friday. Going to be very cheap, going to be very low risk, and a lot of stocks set up for big moves on Friday. So in terms of creating trading systems, the best days to be trading are going to be on Thursdays and Fridays, but especially on Fridays because of the zero date options. So you see, I'm not even just trading SPY. I'm preparing people on GameStop. But that was a plan. I almost took action on it. I did not take action on it. I was so fucking close. The main reason why was I wasn't paying attention enough to the overall confirmations and I was focused on trading Apple. When I'm in one fucking trade, I don't like managing a bunch of other fucking trades. I just focus on the one trade I'm in because that's where my fucking money is in right now, right? But with that being said, man, it was just one of those situations where I got sidetracked with the current trade I was in, which was Apple. If you guys watched the plan, I made it very clear that I wanted to buy Apple call options and it could have a strong bullish day. So at 10:38 a.m., I ended up buying these 232.5 calls, 56 cents a contract, right? And we had plenty of members get in on this overall trade. Some got in lower than me at 50 cents a contract. And yeah, that was a very nice win, getting in the 50-cent range and selling at the 90-cent range for nearly a 100% profit return at the speed of fucking light on the first trade of the fucking day. And then I had another nice trade on fucking SPY, man. So in terms of SPY, I had 582.5 calls at 75 cents. That was a nice trade on calls. In the money, sold at 90 cents. In terms of GROR, GROR absolutely fucking crushed it. It was truly comical on like how quickly we just outperformed like every single trader that you know of on Friday. We had these Tesla calls at 60 cents a contract. And as soon as we got in these calls at 60 cents, they went to 69. 69, it's just such a great number. I love that number, man. 69, it's such a fucking wonderful number. So they quickly went to 69. And it was just one of those plays where you just kind of hold it and it just goes to up fucking 103 cents, just goes to 160, and it just outperforms every single fucking person you know of. Just going up, 200% in 3 fucking minutes. So yeah, man, we got a lot of fucking crazy shit going on here. We just win nonstop. All we know how to do is truly fucking win. It's like the win rate is through the fucking roof. All the winning is just truly non-fucking stop. Like, it's just, you're not gonna be able to find anything else like this, man. So with that being said, if you do want to be a part of a winning group, it's the first link down below in the description. In terms of 2024, there's just no fucking excuses. We give people the plans to make money. We teach them the strategies to become self-sufficient. If you can't make money before you join the fucking group using what I'm giving you, then don't join the fucking group. If you're not self-sufficient, if you're not implementing what is I'm teaching you, if you're not becoming successful, this is not for you. For those of you who want to see everything it is that we're doing in real time, because we actually trade, we're not just going to give you plans and give you strategies to use the plans. No, we actually trade not just the plans, but new plans that we create, and then all of the strategies that we have that come at the speed of fucking light during normal trading hours, right? So if you want to see what it is that we're doing and you want to see exactly how it is that we're trading, because we've mastered trading 0-day option contracts that are extremely far the money. We're known for selling them deep in the money. And like I said, we have the system as well on Friday. We got the Friday system, man. I gave you the GameStop fucking plan. I gave you the Apple fucking plan. Everything fucking printed, right? But trading, yeah, it's not as easy as it seems, man. It takes fucking 10 years to get to this type of fucking level, man. I give people the plans. I give them the information. I give them the videos. I teach them. But are they trading as good as I am? Are they doing this, right? So we give you the opportunity to fucking make money nonstop. We give you the opportunity to learn how everything fucking works. We give you all the fucking opportunities in the world. So like I said, man, losing is a personal choice. We give you the opportunity to make money non-fucking stop. We learn every single trade that we're making in real time. We have a 0-day options trading alert system. We buy cheap, far out of the money option contracts. We're known for selling them deep in the money for the biggest percentage gains. And in terms of the system, the contracts are so cheap, so low risk. Fucking GameStop, you're risking $5 a contract, 5 fucking cents, right? To make 50 fucking dollars. Therefore, with this trading strategy, with this trading system, you can put in your entire max risk per trade into the contracts, which means if it goes to 0, you lose your max risk per trade, right? Therefore, you don't need a stop loss because you're putting in your max risk per trade as your entire position size, which gives you a cutting edge system where you no longer need to use a stop loss. So we don't use stop losses. We do sell losses at times. There's certain times when we're down 50%. We will cut the loss if it doesn't make sense to hold. And then there's other times if it makes sense to hold, we'll hold it. We have the whole day for these out of money option contracts to go in the money. And then they go in the money, we sell for the big percentage gains, right? So it allows us to remove the stop loss. It allows us to put our entire position size into a trade and allows us to lose it as our max risk per trade. And these are the contracts that go up the biggest percentage gains. So you're not going to be able to find any other strategy, any other system out there that allows you to remove your stop loss, take small position size, and allows you to win big, not only percentage gains, but dollar gains, because the percentage gains are so fucking big. Even if you're putting in small amounts of money, it's going to add up to big fucking gains, right? So over here, we're winning massively percentage wise, and we're putting in our max risk per trade into the contracts, and we're letting them ride out, selling them in the money for the biggest percentage gains. And then in terms of stops, we do believe in setting profit stops. We'll set a profit stop to ensure that when we're green on a trade, losing is a choice because we set a profit stop. And that means that we get stopped out for green no matter what, right? So like I said, man, we're doing the complete opposite of what everyone you know of is doing, right? And to be successful, that's what you have to do within the market. You have to do the complete opposite of what everybody else is doing. And you have to have a very systematic approach. So like I said, man, it's just very simple. We set the profit stops to ensure that we don't go green or red. If we're up and we're green on a trade and we set a profit stop, losing is a choice. It's impossible to fucking lose. We'll get stopped out for green. We set the profit stop, not the fucking stop loss, right? You want to fucking lose, set the stop loss. You lose non-fucking stop. Now, with that being said, in terms of the profit stops, we move the profit stop up to ensure that we don't get back the bulk of our gains, right? So we're going to move this profit stop up to ensure that we don't get back the bulk of our gains as the trade is working out in our favor. We move the profit stop up to ensure that we're not going to get back the bulk of our gains, right? And we quickly add to winners. We don't like adding to losers. We don't do it a lot. Sometimes if it makes sense, I'll do it. But we focus on adding to the winners. When we're up a very small amount, 5, 10, 15, 20%, very small amount for us, right? Very small percentage gains for us because we make the biggest percentage gains within the market. We put people into trades and give them plans where they can make a 1000% return on GME in 30 fucking minutes and outperform every single fucking trader you know of. That's what we do. And we do it in a way where it's extremely cheap and low risk. And we have the highest win rate in the game in doing this, you know? We have the highest win rate in the game doing this. You do not need a high win rate to be successful with this system. Trading is about optimizing for a system that allows you to be successful with a low win rate. And then from there, you build off that strong foundation and you continue to increase your win rate as you gain more experience with trading, with the setups, with the price action, which is something that we have over 10 years of experience with. So that is what makes us different in terms of keeping it short, simple, and sweet. If you're in the group, you're already aware it's just nonstop fucking winning. All we do is fucking win over here. The percentage gains always outweigh the fucking losses, and we have the highest win rate in the game doing this. You're not going to find any other group out there that has a win rate, that has a success rate like us doing this, that has such massive percentage gains, and that has a systematic approach to doing this. Like I said, we figured out a way where we can remove the stop loss, and we can actually have our entire position size as a max risk per trade, but be able to make massive gains because we're making such big percentage gains. There's no other strategy if you're using real money where if you're putting in your entire position size as your max risk per trade, well, you're not gonna be able to make massive gains in that situation unless you make massive percentage gains. That's the only way. You know, putting in small amounts of money as your entire position size, where it's literally your max risk per trade could be like 2%, 3% of your account. You can make serious fucking gains on the day with a few fucking trades with massive percentage gains. The gains are going to be so fucking big, they're going to outperform dollars on these people buying in the money fucking options, man. I'm telling you, this is the new wave. This is the best way to fucking trade. If you want to trade alongside with us, you're going to see, you're going to start to pick up on my trades. You're going to start to learn and see exactly it is that I'm trading. You're going to see some of the trades I'm making. It's solely based off the game plan that I made the night before. Some of the trades I'm making, it's solely based off the 30-minute confirmations. You know, bull and bear traps are going to set up the next day. New plans are going to develop. New levels are going to develop. New trends are going to develop. I'm going to capture these trends. I'm going to use the 30-minute patterns. If you look at the 30-minute strategies and you look at my entries, you're going to start to see, dude, he's doing the same fucking thing. I see exactly what he's talking about, right? So by being able to see exactly where I get in, it's going to add that educational value where you're going to start to be able to learn how to trade exactly like me. You're going to be able to see everything it is I'm doing in real time. It's the first link down below in the description. If you want to trade alongside with us, I can assure you tomorrow we are going to absolutely crush it. We are going to absolutely destroy the fucking market. It's going to be fucking amazing. It's going to be truly incredible on what we're going to do tomorrow. If you do want to experience that with us, it's going to be the first link down below within the description. You can get started with us tomorrow and you can turn that money printer on. You can literally turn your phone into a money printing machine by getting these real-time notifications within the overall chat. With that being said, I'm going to be signing off. I will see you guys within the chat tomorrow. We will absolutely crush the market.